Have you ever wondered why your Facebook feed is filled with stories about people you went to high school with, or why Netflix always recommends the same kind of shows? Well, it's all because of algorithms. Algorithms are what dictate what you see on social media, what you see when you search online, even what you see in your Tinder feed. But have you ever wondered if these algorithms are actually biased against you? Well, believe it or not, they totally are. And we are going to tell you how in this video. Welcome back to the channel. Have you ever noticed that whenever you open up your social media app, there are certain types of posts that always seem to appear near the top of your feed? And no, we are not talking about posts from your favorite influencers or celebrities. We are talking about random things like videos of people falling off ladders or articles about how to fix a leaky faucet. It may seem like these posts just randomly popped up, but in reality, they were carefully selected by an algorithm designed to keep you on the app for as long as possible. Now, this isn't a problem in and of itself. After all, social media companies are in the business of keeping people engaged. But where things get problematic is when these algorithms start to reflect and even reinforce societal biases. So let's take a look at one of the most popular social media platforms out there, Facebook. Facebook's algorithm is designed to show users content that it thinks they'll be interested in based on their past behavior on the site. For example, if a user has been liking and sharing a lot of posts about cooking, then the algorithm will show them more cooking-related posts in their feed. But this type of filtering can cause problems when it comes to exposure to different viewpoints. Let's say you only have friends who are liberals and you only see posts shared by those liberals. Then you're not being exposed to any other viewpoints. And if you only see posts shared by conservatives, then you're not being exposed to that viewpoint either. This lack of exposure to different viewpoints can create echo chambers where users are only seeing information that confirms their existing biases. And this can lead to a number of negative consequences. For example, it can make it difficult to empathize with people who have different political beliefs, and it can also make it easy to fall victim to propaganda or misinformation. But it's not just what you see in your feed that can be problematic. The same thing can also happen in the groups that you join. Groups on Facebook can be a great way to connect with like-minded people and stay up to date on the topics that you're interested in. However, if the algorithm only shows you posts from people who share your political views, then it can create a group echo chamber. This can lead to people becoming entrenched in their own beliefs and making it difficult to have meaningful conversations across the political divide. It can also lead to the spread of misinformation since people are only seeing information that confirms their existing biases. So what can be done to prevent this from happening? One solution is to have algorithms that are more transparent so that users can see how decisions are being made about what content they see. Another solution is to develop algorithms that are more fair and unbiased. This is easier said than done, however, as bias can be subtle and difficult to detect. But it's important to try since otherwise social media could become a tool for spreading propaganda and misinformation rather than a tool for connecting with others. And it's not just Facebook that's guilty of having biased algorithms. Google is another company that relies heavily on algorithms to decide what content appears in search results. And yet research has found that Google's algorithms can reflect and even reinforce societal biases. For example, one study found that Google's image search algorithm was biased against black people. When users searched for images of people with certain race-related keywords, such as black people, the algorithm showed predominantly negative images of black people, such as those involved in crime or poverty. On the other hand, when users searched for images of white people using the same keywords, the algorithm showed mostly positive images of white people, such as those in professional settings or engaging in leisure activities. This suggests that Google's algorithm associates black people with negative concepts more than white people, which is obviously a problem. Another study found that Google's algorithms were biased against women in STEM fields. When users searched for images of scientists, the algorithm showed predominantly images of men. This suggests that Google's algorithm associates science with masculinity more than femininity, which could discourage women from pursuing careers in STEM fields. Now, Google has taken steps to address these biases, but these examples show that even the most powerful algorithms can reflect and reinforce societal biases if they're not carefully designed. Okay, so it turns out that the algorithms that control what we see online are biased against us. So what now? Well, it's important to be aware of this bias so that we can be more critical of the information we see online. It's also important to support efforts to make algorithms more transparent and fair. And it's also important to remember that we are not the only ones who are affected by this bias. For example, businesses also rely on algorithms to reach their target audiences. But if these algorithms are biased, then businesses may not be able to reach the audiences they want to reach. This can have serious consequences for businesses, especially small businesses that are already struggling to compete. In addition, biased algorithms can also have serious consequences for society as a whole. For example, biased algorithms in the criminal justice system can lead to wrongful convictions. Biased algorithms in the healthcare industry can lead to disparities in treatment. And biased algorithms in the financial sector can lead to discrimination. So what can we do to fix this problem? Well, one of the first steps is to make algorithms more transparent. If we don't know how algorithms work, it's difficult to identify and correct biases. In addition, we need to develop better methods for evaluating the fairness of algorithms. Currently, there is no consensus on what it means for an algorithm to be fair or how to measure fairness. This makes it difficult to identify and correct biased algorithms. We also need to make sure that the data used to train algorithms is fair and unbiased. Data sets that are used to train algorithms often reflect societal biases, which can lead to biased algorithms. For example, if a dataset is used to train an algorithm to detect fraud, and if the dataset contains more examples of fraudulent activity by one group than another group, then the algorithm may end up being biased against that group. To fix this problem, we need to develop better methods for identifying and mitigating bias in datasets. Finally, we need to educate people about algorithmic bias so that they are aware of the problem and what to do about it. Many people are unaware that algorithms can be biased and that they can be affected by it. Education can help people become more critical consumers of information and make sure that they're not falling victim to algorithmic bias. Now let's talk about one of the most controversial social media platforms out there, TikTok. TikTok's algorithm is designed to show users the most relevant content based on their interests and behavior on the app. The app uses a variety of factors to determine what is relevant, including the user's previous interactions with content, the content's popularity among other users, and the content's similarity to content that the user has previously interacted with. However, this has led to concerns that the algorithm may be promoting harmful or biased content. For example, in 2021, researchers found that TikTok's algorithm was amplifying conspiracy theories. They found that when users interacted with videos containing conspiracy theory keywords, the algorithm would recommend videos from low-quality accounts that were not factually accurate. This allowed conspiracy theories to spread quickly on the platform. Additionally, TikTok's algorithm has been accused of promoting racist and xenophobic content. A report by the Anti-Defamation League found that the app's For You page often recommended videos containing anti-Muslim, anti-Jewish, and anti-immigrant hate speech. This type of content can contribute to real-world harm and is a serious issue on the platform. So what is TikTok doing to address these issues? Well, TikTok has released some information about how its algorithm works. The company says that it uses a variety of signals to determine what content is recommended to users. These signals include the user's device and account information, the user's location, the user's interactions with content, and the user's demographic information. However, TikTok has not been transparent about how these signals are weighted or how they're used to make recommendations. This lack of transparency makes it difficult to assess whether the algorithm is perpetuating bias and discrimination. In addition, TikTok has not been forthcoming about the data it collects on its users. This makes it difficult to assess whether the algorithm is using biased or discriminatory data to make recommendations. TikTok has faced criticism for its handling of user data. The company has been accused of collecting more data than is necessary and of sharing user data with third parties without consent. This has led to concerns that the algorithm may be perpetuating bias and discrimination against certain groups of users. Overall, TikTok's algorithm is not inherently biased or discriminatory. However, the company's lack of transparency about its algorithm and data collection practices makes it difficult to assess whether the algorithm is perpetuating bias and discrimination. This is a serious concern, and TikTok needs to be more transparent about its practices in order to build trust with its users. So what can you do to protect yourself from algorithmic bias? Well, first of all, be aware that algorithmic bias exists and that you may be affected by it. Be critical of the information you see online and don't just take it at face value. Be aware of confirmation bias and how it can affect the way you consume information. Don't just rely on algorithms to curate your newsfeed. Actively seek out diverse perspectives and be willing to challenge your own biases. We hope you enjoyed this video, and we hope it's made you think about the world in a different way. If you did enjoy the video, please like and subscribe so you never miss an upload. Until next time.